Alright, fuck faces, welcome back to artwod portrait roadmap, right? Artwod again. God tier drawing platform, check them out, link in description. Maybe I should start saying link in description. I'm not even affiliated, but I have links to everything that I use, um, tools or softwares otherwise. But yeah, draw along, get your pen, get your pencil out, preferably pen, right? In order to build confidence, right? Artwod is the best drawing platform on the internet. I'm going fucking completely back and forth on my intro, but whatever. Fucking draw along, drawing portraits, right? We're practicing portraits. Please, for the love of God, give me retention. There you go. Anyways, with that being said, we are looking at a reference, and then we're turning it into a sphere with center lines, vertical and horizontal. We're putting that sphere inside a box, right? So we're taking a portrait from reference, we're trying to project a box, and then a sphere inside the box, and then center lines, vertical and horizontal, inside that sphere, inside the box. If that sounds difficult, it's extremely difficult, right? And because this angle is very difficult for me to do, we're gonna do it again, right? Yabba dabba doo. So, that being said, let's just get to it, right? I'm pretty sure this is still a bottom perspective. I don't know anymore, actually. I don't know anymore if this is a bottom perspective. It's so difficult, man. But hey, I have to try, and that's all I can do is try. So, maybe I should start making my spheres a bit smaller, because I think like these spheres were pretty small, but now they're getting larger and larger and larger, and like the fucking things that I end up drawing get larger and larger, so... Yeah, I try showing these drawings to my girlfriends, but... Girlfriends, Jesus Christ, I'm about to get my ass beat, girlfriend. But... She usually either says nice, or says that doesn't make any sense. So, in terms of getting good critical feedback, it's 50-50. She's gonna probably hear this in about 15 years at the rate she's going with my videos, right? Because she's still on, what, warming up part 20 something. And I haven't done the warming up in like fucking 8 months. So she's very behind. If you're listening to this, my love, right? Girlfriends was a mistake. I meant to say friend. Please don't hurt me. If you are gonna hurt me, pay me first. I don't come cheap. But yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah, she's trying to get feedback, but her feedback usually amounts to, and we actually talked about this, but her feedback is usually that doesn't make any sense. And then I try to distill some sort of use out of that, being like, what doesn't make sense? And she's like, it doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? And then obviously I end up getting mildly perturbed, in the sense I'm like, yo, what the fuck? I know I didn't do it on purpose, god damn it, don't you understand? I'm learning. And then she's like, it doesn't make any sense. And then I'm just like, okay, well, how about we just all take a deep breath and I'll throw you in the trash. And pretty productive, I'd say. Pretty fucking productive. So again, trying to think, really, again, trying to be in discomfort. Think about this very subtle box. Right? Very subtle. This is the contour. There you go. I think that's a little bit better, actually. Actually, no. Never mind. It's pretty ass. I fucked up, but it's okay. This was supposed to be slightly higher up. The side was supposed to be angled instead, because this is pretty straight, right? It was supposed to be angled just slightly, not even that much, like super slight, like that. You probably can't even tell the difference, because obviously it's a very small line and it's zoomed out and all that stuff, but it's not supposed to be like that. But that's a mistake, and that feels good. Why does it feel good? Because I literally forced myself to feel good. And then this ellipse is something like that. There you go. At least I got that down relatively decently. Again, this top part shouldn't have been as further out on the right. And yeah, I'm making like these minor adjustments just for myself. Hopefully now you see like this looks pretty wrong, right? And it looks pretty wrong because this should have been obviously angled up here. So that was a mistake on my end, and we'll live with it, obviously, because I can't not live with it. So it's just about feeling good and being like, hey yo, I made a mistake. Fucking, I'm so happy. Oh my god, I'm jerking off, right? Good old focus on the effort, focus on the errors, derive enjoyment from said errors and effort. Right? Literally gaslighting yourself, which is what I do, at least. I forgot to talk about this last quote-unquote episode, i.e. whatever the last video was, right? But I'm trying to be more specific and give more tangible, actionable advice. So everybody's trying to figure out, or like beginners or anybody intermediates is always they're always trying to say like, okay, but how do we actually enjoy learning, right? Like, and maybe I haven't been clear, or maybe I need to continue repeating myself actually, right? In the clarity that I provide when it comes to, okay, like you keep talking about focusing on the effort and focusing on the errors, right? But why does that actually make me learn better? And I've said this multiple times before, but I have no problem saying it again, which is our brain learns through errors, right? Like it is not just bullshit platitudes people are telling you because they want you to stop bitching. Personally, even if our brain didn't learn from errors, I'd still tell you that because I am tired of people bitching, right? So there you go. There's my full fucking disclosure. But the reason anybody with half a brain cell and has utilized that brain cell, right? So two very important things: having the brain cell and then using the brain cell, right? That could take a lifetime to get to, right? But anybody who utilizes their half a brain cell will tell you, me being one of them, fortunately, because I simply found the information and I actually took action on that information. It's our brain learns through errors, right? So it's not a platitude. It's not something we tell you or that is told to you to get you to shut the fuck up. Although I would like to say shut the fuck up, just as an aside, right? And just fucking believe what I'm about to say. But our brain learns through errors, and when we focus and attach dopamine to errors, so that sentence in of itself may be a bit confusing. It's like focus and attach dopamine to errors. First of all, in order to attach dopamine to errors, you must recognize what an error is, which is why I'm a huge advocate and I keep saying, like, have standards, right? Have standards that you evaluate yourself on. Not that you compare yourself to, but that you evaluate yourself on. My examples would be, my standards are, Kim Jong-il. My standards are Eliza Ivanova. My standards are Sori Kim. My standards are TV Choi, right? They're my standards. They're not who I am, skill-wise, yet, right? Growth mindset, good old yet. But they're not who I am yet, nor is my output what I expect their output to be, like equivalent. But I evaluate myself on that. Oh, that's already off, but it's fine. That wasn't the main point of this anyways. But yeah, you evaluate yourself on that. So in order for you to attach dopamine to errors, and attaching dopamine is just a very, very, very fancy way of saying feel good. Just feel good. Attach feelings of feeling good, right? We can all do that. You probably have a vague ass way of going about it. In the beginning, all I really had was just shit-eating grin, right? I just had a shit-eating grin. Every time I made a mistake, as soon as I recognized that I made a mistake, I just, big smile. I was like, oh, I feel so good. But like now I can literally just force a wave of feeling good, right? Literally like almost a shiver of sorts, right? But the point is you attach dopamine. And when you attach dopamine to errors, so first you recognize errors, which is informed by your understanding of what an error is in relation to what your output is, right? If this is your output and you want your fucking output to be this, then this is an error. That's when you start jerking off and you're like error, as you do hundreds of these. And you want to keep doing errors. Not as in you intentionally chase doing errors you can avoid, right? That's another distinction I want to make. So you make errors that you do your best not to make, and you are able to recognize them as errors, and then you attach dopamine, i.e. feelings of positivity or just a good feeling, to that error. And you do this as often as possible within your learning bout, whether that's 10 minutes, whether that's an hour like it is for me, right? So that's why I keep saying focus on the errors, focus on the effort. And when you focus on the effort, all that matters is the fact that, hey, I'm trying so hard to visualize this box, right? I'm trying so hard to visualize this box. And I'm failing 90% of the time, but I also want to be very clear that these failures are repetitions. Like me trying constantly to visualize this box and this center line, vertical, horizontal, and relate it to the box, right? And then have the sphere inside that box. Every single time I do that, I fail 90% of the time, right? And that's just how it always is. Like, no matter how much I strain, I'm failing right now. Like, I'm talking, and again, talking while visualizing, while explaining that I'm visualizing, while trying to also do all those calculations I just mentioned, while explaining, is an extremely difficult, say it with me now, you can do it, skill. It's a skill, right? So, not a fucking talent. So, when it's a skill, it's also extremely difficult, right? But all I'm doing is countless repetitions of what you're seeing right here, which is just trying to visualize this, right? And trying to put the box and trying to calculate this inside of that, right? This elliptical, this half ellipse, right? Which is only what we can see. And just consistently failing miserably. And then feeling good that I'm failing miserably, because that's literally how we learn, right? So yeah, focus on the effort, right? Not the outcome, but the effort, right? So yeah, with that being said, let me do the helmet now. And again, I looked at some more examples on Pinterest. Let's see if I can retain, right? But clearly I want this eye area, whatever this is, to be the focal point. And I want this is to help me inform how I'm going to be drawing these things, right? So with that being said, and another thing I've realized, again, I'll go through like a million realizations and probably only about half of them will actually mean anything, as is tradition, right? But another thing I believe I've realized, I'd say we can say that, is that we're actually just sculpting. We are sculpting from that sphere. I was under the impression that I just had to consistently be form wrapping, like wrapping forms around the contour of the sphere, right? Like if I wanted to draw something curvical here, then, it would have to be something like this, and then we're wrapping around that, like so, like we're just wrapping, like that's what I was under the impression of. And yes, while that can be part of it, the more I look at these examples, the more I realize that they're sculpting, they're adding and subtracting and building onwards and building down and like removing. They're doing a lot of things to make this seem much more dimensional, right? And that I can appreciate, and that is what I believe I should also try to do. And again, I'm doing this while I'm talking, don't forget, right? So it's extremely difficult. It's genuinely one of the hardest things I've ever had to do when it comes to art, right? Is literally hold a sphere, hold a box, hold a sphere inside a box, hold center lines, vertical and horizontal, inside that sphere, inside that box, and then draw things over that, right? It's, again, when Kim Jong-gi does it, it's like, whoop-de-doo, wow, look, it's so easy, but it's not easy. And I think it's obvious it's not easy. At least I would like to believe that you're all aware it's not easy, but hopefully me explaining exactly what I'm thinking of makes it clear that it's really not easy. Know what I mean? And I'm not trying to make it sound as if it's the hardest thing in the world. But again, like while I'm doing this, and I'll take multiple pauses because it is very difficult to explain this while I'm drawing, but I'm literally trying to calculate that contour, right? And like how I'm going to be going around it. And like, yeah, we see more of this face and we also have the vertical one. So I'm constantly, I think the main thing especially is these contours. They need to consistently be addressed in order to make sense, right? And again, like I need to think about the perspective. It's not just about the contours, it's the fact that we're looking at the bottom of this helmet, right? So that needs to make sense as well. And that's also very difficult because I consistently lose myself while I'm explaining, right? Like while I'm explaining, I'm consistently losing what I'm trying to explain, if that makes sense. So see, like I'm just trying to create a little addition here, right? I don't think it worked out well because my lines were very unconfident. But again, I have to think about the sphere as well, right? This isn't just something random I'm deciding to draw. But I do have to think about that sphere as well. Man, my brain is literally hurting so much, which is good. This is exactly where I want it to be, right? Like this is exactly where I want to be. But it's not just about thinking about the sphere anymore. The new understanding is, oh, we're building in and out of the sphere. We are creating many like cutouts. We're sculpting. So when it comes to that, then it's like, okay, like how are we sculpting? What are we sculpting? And let's not forget the subtlety to which we are sculpting with. Right? And I may have already messed up quite drastically. But that is obviously the price. And again, like what I'm thinking here is like, okay, what angles can I add and how can I connect things while I do this, right? Okay, now how does that look on the other end here? Like, how does it look? I don't know. How does it look? Right? Is it just like maybe if I have a hinge here, does that mean I have a hinge? Yep, I have a hinge like right there. So that way I can, there you go, something like that, right? Is that consistency for consistency's sake? Who knows? But now at least I've created something that's not as shit as that. And I was thinking a lot about that center line, thankfully, right? And it's like, okay, like what do I want to do with this goggle-like shape? Do I want to add an indent? Do I want to do something more subtle, right? Right? Is that enough? That looks kind of derpy, but I don't think it's enough, right? So we can leave that for now. It's relatively three-dimensional, and to ensure that the three-dimensionality is not lost, we can actually. But now my line suffered, right? That line was super thick. It was consistent, it was continuous, it was difficult, and it was super thick, right? And now it's like, okay, well, clearly we got this side of the face, and this is a decent amount, right? We definitely got the axes down. Now we just got to make sure, like, proportionally it makes sense. And how else do we want to connect things, right? And yeah, like, I do want to try something like that, but in its own way. So now I have to think, like, back to the references that I looked at for fucking 2 minutes before I decided to start drawing again, right? Is what sort of connections. We obviously want white space, we want things to breathe, right? And we cannot ignore the fact that this is still the bottom perspective. You know, we can't ignore that there's very subtle ellipses from the bottom perspective, such as literally like this. Right? Like that's what we should be focusing on. So that's the perspective, right? And we can't ignore the fact that we have, see like how many things I'm thinking about while also trying to fucking design on top of it, which all boils down to the box, the sphere inside the box, and then the center lines, vertical and horizontal, inside the box, right? And then on top of that, designing, function, purpose, aesthetics, fucking like ratios, right? Like all these things. So I hope it's very clear that none of this is accidental, but every single bit of this is extremely difficult. And then like, do I want something big here? Right? Like, what do I even want? What? And again, like, I haven't been thinking about function at all. How can I think about function when I have so many other things to think about, right? I only have the liberty, the privilege to think about function once just general basic design and perspective and these other very difficult things have been established in my mind, right? Like, you can't do everything. You can try to do it as much as you can, but that's why I always try to focus on the visualization, because that will give me the biggest return on investment, right? Like that will give me the biggest return on investment, bar none. Does that even make sense? Bar none? I don't know. I don't think I did that accurately either, but let's see. Okay, that's a bit too subtle or too extreme, but I've committed to that now. Right? So I've created this sort of shape right here. And perhaps I can have it be some sort of cable like shape, right? We could do something like this. And again, my line work is shoddy. It is. My line work is shoddy. It is unconfident. I do waver, right? All of these are occurring. You are not mistaken. If you have noticed it, you have noticed correctly. And those are things I'm aware of. As much as you think you're aware of all my mistakes, trust me when I say, and this is why I keep harping on the fact that it's good to know your eye, right? Like to really have that be developed. Because even though I don't, like, obviously I'm going to keep discovering process of design and like regarding anything regarding design, function, aesthetics, blah, 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 right? Yes, like there are a lot of things I won't notice, right? Which is why I'm constantly trying to learn, understand, and like internalize and experiment and what if and what if and what if, right? But regarding things like line quality, decisions, perspective, like I'm pretty fucking aware. So don't you worry, child, right? Because Viggy is aware of how shitty it is. I think that's how it went. Okay, so like now we got something like this. So obviously it's on the other side as well, right? But we don't see it, on the other side, but like I did something to this, and I just gotta figure out how I can make it look decent because I didn't mean to do it like so. Right? I didn't mean to do it like that. So what can this be? Right? What can this be that maybe it can be something hard surfacey? Something like, yeah, maybe it can be something that's hard surfacey. But before we do that, we should figure out how it connects here, right? See, like, that's a problem-solving moment right there. How the fuck is this gonna connect? You know? And again, like, constantly trying to think about that sphere, that perspective, that center line, everything. While also trying to make sure my lines aren't too ass. Right? Something like that. I don't think that really makes any sense. And I should have gone further back if that was the case. But this is the beauty of... See, we can just make it seem like it's intentional. But then what is this? Again, like, we're having too many medium-sized shapes, right? So we should probably... And I'm saying probably, like, very, very... I'm using that word very loosely, right? But probably, I would like to believe, you know, have something jutting out here. But what and how is the question, right? So maybe something like... If we center this, bring this over... Something like this. Right? Now, is that accurate? I don't know, but... Maybe... Something like that. Right, some sort of shape that's... obstructing outwards. Doesn't really make sense though, I don't think so. See, like, I don't know. Something like that. And then maybe, I don't know, something cylindrical or elliptical comes out of it. Now this, I'm telling you right now, I'm really not thinking. At this right here, you can probably tell I'm not thinking at all, right? Like this, but honestly, I made an attempt. Like I genuinely did make an attempt to try to make something interesting, and now it kind of looks retarded, but it's an interesting separate retard, right? And we can just, again, put that in perspective. Doesn't really look that good. Like again, this doesn't really look that good either, but kind of just add random shapes. Maybe it'll make it look better. No, leave it. See, like I'm noodling right now. But either way, we kind of got that done. So now we just got to make a really big area for the mouth. Is what I want. Right? Because we have a lot of medium shapes. Like that I'm starting to understand. Like these are all like the same size. That's why it doesn't look good. Right? And even if we did something like... maybe something like that. Right? Even that doesn't really do anything for this design. Oh, it kind of looks like shit. But... well, and look, it's all blending together. It doesn't make sense. So we'll leave it, because clearly I made a huge mistake. And now we're gonna have to figure out what's happening here, because don't forget it's coming down, right? So we have to think, like, what do we usually see? See, like, now that, why did I do that? Because I'm thinking like a wraparound, right? Like a wraparound type shape. And it actually is slightly off perspective, which is why I fixed it. There you go. You know, did I actually fix it? No, because it actually doesn't make too much sense, but some sort of shape like that, which we can then, and again, this is thinking about this perspective, right? So I am willingly changing the orientation of this stuff, right? Like right there, and then if it's a little small, there you go, right there. So this actually has to be a bit bigger. Something spherical, something conal perhaps, right? It looks kind of shit, and to be honest, like it probably will be not the best. And then what would that look like on the other side? See, something like this. So I can perhaps fix it, but not really, because it's off center. So I'm just trying to think if there's anything that can be done, because this actually probably should have been way down here then. Something like that, right? Something like that. And yeah, I know, my shit's getting more and more convoluted and bigger, like I'm well aware. But I did want to try, at the very least, something. And let's see, how could we attach this? Because again, it is the bottom perspective, so maybe we could just... something like... let's see... there you go, some sort of three-dimensional shape like that, and then it just attach it like so. Okay, so it clearly got fucked a little bit at the end there, but honestly, this is probably, I guess, one of the more unique shapes I've drawn. Right? Definitely one of the more unique shapes I've drawn. So I'm not gonna complain too much. I really do like pushing my lines, even if it results in something stupid like that. And this is obviously just good perspective practice, right? Which is curving. And what else can we do? Well, we could obviously just add little adjacent sort of highlight. What is this called? Just like another line, right? I don't fucking know. But oh, it's only been 28 minutes. Okay, so I'm definitely doing a lot better than I anticipated. I think this is okay. I think this is definitely, because again, if I were to, right, like it's okay. It's nothing incredible. Maybe we can even add little pupils that are kind of cute. That's actually pretty cute. This should be a lot wider though. There you go. But I know it doesn't make the most amount of sense because I couldn't think about this connecting these two properly, but it's not bad. Okay, we'll do a different angle now. And I will say, like again, like 80% of the time I'm constantly losing it, but I'm in a good amount of discomfort and I'm constantly trying, which I do believe is what matters. I do think there's a mistake here. Let's see, like that doesn't seem to be following the perspective correctly. Yeah, see, like this should have been lower. This one should have been lower. There you go. Then it would have looked like in the bottom. There's a few other things that are off here, right? Like this is off. And yeah, I'll go over it. It's gonna look messy, but it's not. That's not the point. I didn't really mean for it to go in that direction as well, to be honest. Like regarding these two, I should have thought their implementation a lot better before I just decided to commit. So again, when I don't think, I don't draw, right? I don't draw as well as I could. So I hope again, like every time you notice that like, hey, he's saying he's not thinking and his drawing is worse because he's not thinking. There's really that's really only it, right? But yeah, this wasn't too bad. Let me just, there you go. Just fill that in, I guess. Kind of looks like a design now, maybe. But hey, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Anyways, let me rest my brain and then I'll choose a new portrait to refer to in order to practice this. Right? Well, there's this guy, and he's looking straight at us. So maybe I'll try this. This is like not an easy angle, but this is definitely an angle I want to try. So let's give it a shot. Right? Like it's not difficult. It's literally someone looking straight at us. Right? So it's 1 point perspective, but I feel as if I'm gonna have difficulties with this, which is why I want to attempt it. But yeah, let me rest my brain, and I encourage you to do so as well. Alright, I'm back. Wonderful. Alright. This was okay. This one. But I definitely just need to copy some helmets. I need to find time in my weekend or something just to spend that time purely just copying a bunch of different helmets. Like drawing one helmet, rotating it a few times as best as I can, and then drawing another one, rotating it. Because I feel as if that's how I'm really going to get ideas for designs. Right now, this is all just a hot pot of bullshit, to be honest. Right? So, not that there's anything wrong with that per se, but I definitely do believe that a lot more could be accomplished by studying rather than copying, studying, and then rotating, right? That is probably, well, that's most definitely the way to go. So anyways, there's this guy, he's staring at me, he has a nice afro, very nice afro actually. But let's see, very stoic man, very masculine man, but okay, I do believe I think we're seeing the top of his head. Because although it looks like we're looking straight at him, and this is why I encourage everybody to draw along, because you're not going to be able to see what I see, right? And I'm too lazy to fucking add that as an edit. Now, when I get editors, it's going to be a lot easier, right? Fucking 50, 60, 70 years from now, when I get editors, because this channel is going to fucking die. Probably before it ever takes off. Who knows? On one hand, I'm extremely confident that it's going to take off. On the other hand, I'm extremely uncertain, and most likely it'll just stay stagnant. Who knows? Right? So, let's see. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is 1 point perspective. Pretty sure the horizon line is above his eyes. And I'm pretty sure that we're looking. It's not like an extreme top of his head, but I would say there's a decent amount of curvature to the horizontal center line. And again, I'm trying really hard to put his face inside a box, but it's not as if it's extremely difficult, but it's always difficult. I mean, it is uncertain at the very least, right? I am uncertain at the very least, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a 1 point perspective. Top of his, more so, we're seeing slightly top of his head. But the thing is, I can't really see his ears. Well, I do see a little bit of his ears, like the tiniest bit hidden behind his afro. So perhaps it's definitely not as much of a curve in terms of the horizontal center line. And the vertical center line is, for all intents and purposes, straight, which is interesting. Not because like there's anything interesting about being straight, but it's just difficult to, again, it's difficult to think about something three-dimensional having essentially zero curvature, but if we're looking at it straight on, it would make sense for it to have zero curvature. But anyways, let me draw this sphere. See, again, like, explaining things, understanding things, but then applying things. Applying is an insanely large gap, and I just want to keep affirming that to anybody listening, right? Applying is a very, very large gap between understanding and theorizing and, you know, postulating or whatever the fuck you want to call it, right? Like, it's a need, it's a very needed gap, because it's truly what separates those who do and continue to do with failures and with consistent setbacks versus those who simply think, right? And don't do while thinking. So, you know, there's some hashtag Biggie philosophy for you, but this is pretty simple. It's straight on. I'm going to, this feels really wrong for me, because like I'm so used to adding dimensionality to everything. But I do believe, because it's a 1-point perspective, that it's literally just straight. Like, we're not seeing either side. It's literally like, this is an ellipse, don't get me wrong. If we were to look slightly more on what is the left side for us, it would look like this. Right? Like, that's what, and if we were to, you know, look more to the left side, right, that the curve would be like this, and so on and so forth. It'd be even more, right? Like, it's, and these are arrows I'm drawing, by the way, not just random little scribbles. I know it's hard to tell, but what we're looking at is a completely flat end, like a straight line end, right? What essentially looks like a straight line of an ellipse that is, in fact, if we turned, whether to the right of his face, or to our right of his face, or to the left of his face, it would have a curve. But right now it doesn't. And then same thing with, I believe it's the same thing with the center horizontal line, right? That contour, but I'm uncertain, because again, his face does have contours. Let's not forget, his face is not a perfect sphere. But the question then becomes, are we seeing a little bit of the top of his face or no? Because I can barely see his ears because they're behind his afro, right? This voluminous afro of his. Anybody remember Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, the haunted episode, the Halloween episode, right? My voluminous fro. Thankfully, I was saved by my voluminous fro, I believe is a line Mosby says when it's like goes back to the 80s and he's like fucking dancing and brushing his hair, brushing his afro, and then he runs away and like bangs his head on the wall or some shit from the ghost. I actually watched that episode a few months ago with my sister, which is why I remember it so clearly, right? But either way, voluminous furrow aside, I cannot tell if this mane, his eye line, is straight or not. I want to say it's slightly curved. Just slightly. Like very... Perhaps this is not as slight as I intended, but this is what I believe. Again, what I believe and what is an actuality can be at opposite ends, right? I can be wrong. I can be completely wrong, and that is simply a decision that you have to be okay with. Yeah, I think I already curved this a bit too much. I think it's even more subtle than this, but now that I've committed, let's get, yeah, because like his nose is not at that much of a downward angle. Like when I look at what this nose should be at the angle I've set versus what his nose is, right? Two different things. But I'm so excited to just consistently draw portraits. I don't know how else to say it. I'm so excited and so happy that I decided to take the time to just go off on the artwod portrait roadmap, because you see how like portraits don't. I mean, I'm assuming most artists understand that portraits are actually pretty difficult, right? Like to get the nuance of the human face, right? Like we struggle with faces the most, you know. We have an entire region of our brain that exists to map the face, and it goes back to hunter-gatherer times. It goes back to our evolutionary history, right? In order to recognize faces that are, for lack of a or less scientific term, you know, friendly versus not friendly, right? We needed to be able to instantaneously recognize features that we would determine were part of the tribe, quote unquote, right? Damn, I think I made his eyes way too far apart. Yeah, definitely. Because I made his eyebrows way too far apart. His eyebrows are actually more like this. So his eyes were actually more like this. Right. Yeah, that's better. And then the eye right here. Again, none of this is about having like extreme accuracy, but I am constantly trying to think about like how it is placed on the features itself. Right? And then his lips are slightly below, and again, trying to think about this box. Let's see. Because he is of African descent, his lips are very succulent. Very succulent. I myself have succulent lips, but none like these. I think I made them way too big. No, actually, I think they're okay. But I don't know, proportions, like I do struggle quite a bit with proportion. I mean, like that's another thing of why the face is so difficult for me, right? It's genuinely like again, we are trying to create likeness with lines. That looks okay. That doesn't look like ass. But his lips are definitely, I think, even if you don't know what the reference is like, you can probably tell the lips are too big. I would assume so. Right, and this is just me trying to capture the planes of the face, so don't mind me. Right? And of course, it's good line practice. Whether the lines themselves are good is a viewer discretion, right? But okay. Definitely made his everything too big, I feel, compared to the cranium. No, I mean he actually has a pretty narrow skull, so technically it works out. Technically it works out. But I'm gonna rest my brain, and then I'm gonna create the, I guess the helmet version of this, right? Which should be easier. Well, maybe this will allow me to really think about design, right, and how I want to wrap things around, because my mind is like, it's struggling, man. All of this is so much of a struggle. I genuinely think I just need to draw a lot of helmets during the weekends when I don't record, or at least on this Friday, right? This Friday, I'm not gonna be recording. I'll be streaming. I'll probably draw it on reference during my stream then. What is that, part 40 or part 41? One of those. So yeah, it'll be in the thumbnail preview because it's always previewed in the thumbnail. So yeah, let me rest my brain. And I encourage you to do so as well. Yeah, so again, trying to think about hard surface. I've consistently struggled, clearly, but if we look at what I liked and what worked, things that jut out like this look pretty decent. Things that wrapped around, things that jutted out. This was like a jut out shape that looked pretty decent. Like things like these seem to work consistently, right? Even this, like as mediocre as it was, is something that's jutting out, right? This was ass because there was no consistency and the jutting out didn't make sense. This was ass. This was pretty meh, but it was also pretty ass because I was being too abstract. This was pretty shit, right? This is like okay, but it's still pretty shit, all things considered, you know? So, I do need to think. Well, what a fucking shock, I need to think. That's what I've been saying the entire time, but I do need to think a bit more clearly. So, maybe this will be easy, but again, I have to, like, because this is the box I believe this man is encompassed in. Right, a 1-point perspective box that is converging. Like, that is what I believe I see. At least, at the very least, that's what I've created right now. It's definitely more subtle, right? It's definitely more subtle than this, because it probably is more like this, right? Like very, very, very slow convergence, if we're gonna be honest. But for the sake of what I've created here, it's a bit faster convergence towards the horizon line that is definitely, I believe, above the eyes, right? And again, you can see a lot of it is my belief and me trying to figure it out and be like, is it correct, is it not correct? But the point being is like, it's just what I'm trying, right? It's just what we're trying. So yeah, if I would, try to recall the shapes that I would see in the references that I examined, right? Again, like I'm trying to establish that perspective right now. Something like this. And then again, it curves, follows that sphere. Never perfect, right? It's never going to be perfect, and that's okay, because the perfection or the expectation of perfection is what's gonna fuck me up more than anything, right? And I had to adjust this now because it wasn't perfect, quote unquote, right? So what am I thinking about? I'm trying to think about this box. I'm trying to think about the fact that, okay, the center line's completely straight. So that actually, I'm actually removing one aspect of thinking, and the fact that I don't have to think about the vertical center line. But again, I still have to design around it. And because I don't have to think about the vertical center line, I should definitely put more cognitive friction upon myself in terms of trying to think about a functional design of sorts, right? So how do I want this? Like, what do I want wrapped around is the real question, right? Because if this is the case, perhaps something like, and again, I should bring my hand back from the pen, but perhaps something like this. And what would that look like? It'd be like that, right? There you go. Something like that. Oh, okay, so that was a mistake, and that was also a mistake. Something like this, right? Just trying to figure out what could work and what couldn't work. There you go, something like that. And that's just me fucking diddling the goddamn my chair, you know, the thing that brings you up or down. I was just fucking that with my toes, don't mind me. And again, like I need to think clearly. I know, and I mean clearly as in I need to think. Clearly as in like, you know, sarcasm, clearly I need to think. And then also clearly as in I need to think with clarity and keep that fucking box in my mind as much as possible, because I'm telling you right now, it's very difficult. It's incredibly difficult. Like I can't explain in words. That's the beauty of language, is I can tell you, oh yeah, this hurts my brain, but it is very hard, right? And it's just like we're literally problem solving, and we're literally, not only are we problem solving, we're solving problems that we don't even know are real or not yet, right? So a lot of it will possibly be conjecture. Okay, so maybe I want something like this. See how I made a mistake there? So now I've committed to creating an internal ring here, right? And now what does that mean? What does that turn into? Maybe, because again, it is still a spherical object, never forget that. I fucked that up here, but still a spherical object of which the contour is still the top, so see, we can still find ways to reinforce that we're looking slightly at the top of this thing, right? And perhaps that's still a bit too much, and I believe it is a bit too much, but that's what I'm constantly thinking about, right? Let's see. Now, I have no idea where this could go, to be honest. I have no idea where this could go. There you go, maybe, and then... something like that, right? And again, sorry, I am trying to explain. I'm genuinely am trying to explain, but I'm also at the same time trying to think of everything: the box, the sphere, the contour lines, and now design and like some sort of semblance of coherency within the design, right? So when I did that, that was just me thinking, okay, what if I have an angle that juts out, then goes inward, then juts out again, then goes inward? That's literally it. So it's just what ifs. Like, what if I do something like this? You know, what if I do this? Right? It's sometimes it's nothing really more than that, right? But now, like, what stems from this is obviously likely the more important part. So I guess I'll just think out loud. What if I do a multiple rounding of this shape, right? And then we have, I don't know, something jut out in multiple additions and attaches to it, right? And what if I try to calculate the perspective to be accurate on the other side and I fuck up my lines? Wow, what a shock. Right? But what if? Now, does that make sense? I don't know, not yet, but we'll see what we can do, right? So, you know, what if this is actually, you know, some sort of multiple rounding? What if I add little contour lines, right? And how can I make this look interesting? Well, what if this is actually pretty organic? Like so. And what if I fucked up those lines drastically? Like so. This is right. Right. Doesn't really make much sense right now, but let's see. And then, like, how do I create some semblance of hard surface design while ensuring that this kind of works together, right? So, like, how does this all make sense right now? Is I don't know. Let's see. What if there's some sort of spherical attachment at the base? Over here, we are following it still. Right? Okay, well, because I made it a bit larger, we'll need to adjust. And again, these little sort of accents always help, right? Like an outline over it, or what can you call that, right? Just like when you do another of the same shape inside of it, an outline, right? So just trying to figure out what makes sense. And at the end of the day, like, this design, while I'm not intending for it to be abstract, is becoming more and more abstract as time goes on. Right? So it's just, now it's like, okay, how can I make it, oh, see, bad line. Like, how can I make it seem more intentional? Maybe by doing something like this. What is any of this even becoming anymore? Right? Have I taken the sculptor approach a bit too far? Possibly. Right? Genuinely possibly. But it's okay, because we're still focused on the lines. We're still trying to focus on the center line, the sphere inside of it, and all that stuff too. Right? So we could objectively just to really start making things come closer, do something like this, right? This shape possibly can be something. I just got to figure out how I'm gonna reason this spatially, right? Because this right here doesn't look like anything yet, but this is where I need to spatially reason, right? So what can I have jut out of what? Can I do something like this? You know, maybe it, I think at this point, especially because my lines are so subpar, it doesn't really work. But even something like grill marks usually make a big difference, right? And then again, we could have little accents. And this can actually be something that's wrapping all the way around. Right? And now it's actually starting to look like something. I didn't really intend for it to be this, but... And then, okay, like what can we have here? Well, we can just have... Usually, just sort of cross like that helps quite a bit, right? And yes, it's always because my lines are subpar. Like that when in doubt, blame yourself, right? Blame the things that you couldn't do, because that's what you can control, is the things you couldn't do. Maybe we can just have this connect, and maybe it'll just make sense, right? And then, like, what about here? You know, some things still need to be spatially reasoned, and right, does that work? Maybe this is actually this inside here. Maybe is let's see, I don't know. I want it to be something that's indicative of some sort of inner machinery. But okay, I don't think that's gonna work. That didn't really work. I'll just do this then. That didn't really work. I was trying something else and it didn't work. It was too complex. But see, even something like this to reinforce that, hey, it is wrapping around. Don't forget. Right? This is actually probably my best design yet, because I'm genuinely, as you can see, really taking my time, right? And it's the easiest, of course. Let's not discount the fact that it's really easy to do something when it's like in front of you, right? And then maybe this is just little accenting. And I think generally we do have this aligned. If we want even more aligned, I could do something like this. Something like that, right? To really give it that little eye shape. Right? But now, like, again, what is this, right? And I think this is where like a big shape needs to come into play. And before I just decide that I'm gonna draw a big shape, I need to really think like, okay, how am I gonna make it make sense? Let's try something like... like this, and then we... Add a little nut. Right? Oh, I fucked it up. I fucked it up. This was supposed to... Wait, but I can still fix it. There you go. There you go. See? And then I can do the same thing on the other side. Just jutting it out there. Not perfect, but it's cool. Right? And we can just have this be something like that. Okay, well, I clearly went way overboard. I clearly went way fucking overboard. But I don't know, I think it does work. I think I generally did get the contours correctly. I think it's okay. I think it's okay. Huge issue obviously being the fact that I intended for this to be the top of the head, and then I couldn't plan for that at all, so this ended up becoming the cranium. So just in terms of like consistency, I guess I'll just have something like that. But either way, it's not bad, right? I'm trying to think, like maybe the eye should have something, some sort of pattern, right? It's usually some sort of silicon mesh that these Spartan warrior mechs usually have, right? And this is just my really half-assed attempt at creating a texture, you know? And I'll just put one line across every single one of them. Maybe that will make it worse, maybe that'll make it better in terms of, I guess, values, right? If we're gonna use the word values, which I don't have as a human being, let alone as an artist. So let's see if this makes any semblance of a difference. That kind of looks cool. Okay, we'll leave it. But yeah, I put a lot of effort into that. As always, I could always put more, but I've just come to terms with the fact that I was actually going to talk about this today, but there's always a million things to talk about. But I've just come to terms with the fact that I'll always feel like I could put more effort in, but as long as I'm just genuinely trying to figure things out, and I really fucking was. Every time I draw, I'm really trying to figure things out. Right, and of course I could always be in much more discomfort. I could always be thinking about the perspective a lot more. I coulda, woulda, shoulda, you know what I'm saying? But unfortunately, or fortunately, or just as in that's just how it is, right? That you can only do the best that you can do. But I hope you put a lot of effort in, and I hope you did your best to enjoy it, because I certainly enjoyed all the mistakes I made and all the effort I put in. And with that being said, as always, fuck you for watching. Keep drawing, and please give me money. Thank you.